time to tool. It's time to tool. It's time to now's the time.
Hey YouTube, Matt here, bringing you my profile of my post YCS Toronto ideas for Constellars. That build was a lot different to some of the other builds I'd seen recently, and especially the build I was messing about with and the one I showed you in my previous video of my tournament report. With this one, we're still sticking with the one bear, because with the two tanky, it still works fine at spot destruction, which is always helpful, and then the bear is always an easy side out for any of these things. Then, one of the main changes is going down to 1 LGD. For me, it was a bit strange going to 1 LGD and putting these little buggers back in, because even though there is the limitation, obviously it's a special summon, it still can either get your Chaos, your Pollux, or your Sombre out, which can still put you off a lot. But the fact is, if you only have the LGDs, it's kind of bad, because you still really want the Chaos and the Pollux as quickly as possible, hence still running the 1 Rotor and the 2 tanky to search both of those cards. Then we've still got 3 Chaos, that will always stay. Still got 3 Pollux, they will always stay. Sheraton. Terrible Stratos. Yes, it's got 1900 defense, but you're never going to bloody set the thing, because you want the search. It's 700 attack, so it's rubbish, but it searches out any of the Constellars, which is either going to be a Chaos or Pollux. I'd say 90% of the time it's probably going to be a Pollux, because you can get to the Chaos a bit easier with the tankies. And then sometimes, if you need it, you might be searching a Sombre just for a recovery play. Obviously, you've got the 1 Honest. Everything's light except for the bear. A lot of the extra deck is light. That's why you run it. 2 Effect Veiler, same from my previous build. Then a slight change. I took out the T-King from the main deck, put it into the side deck. With a couple of other changes, I got 2 Maxi in the main. This is still kind of in testing, but again, it's another reason I want to get these in, so I can get to the Chaoses and the Pollux that bit quicker. Then we've got just a couple of staple spells. We've got the Book of Moon, is just really good against everything. Dark Hole, power cards, still useful. Cut down to the 2 Lance. This I struggled with, because I really did want to keep it at 3. But I thought, with the 2-pot, with the Maxi, with all the searches, you're probably still going to draw into them quite often, so 2 is probably enough. We've then got the 3 MST needed in this format, no heavy, no mass destruction. People are setting lots and lots of things, so you just need that single destruction to get rid of them. Then obviously Fire Fist is now a thing again, so you need to destroy those tankies. Only 2-pot, I was running 3-pot in my tournament report. Dropping it down to 2 is fine, because obviously the main point of the deck is to try and get into Pallades and control the field, so pot doesn't necessarily help with that. But then you can just go Pollux into Chaos, then use the pot duality if you've got no other resources to try and draw some protection or into a Sombre or something. It still can be a relatively strong play. Then we've got the single Rotor. Obviously that searches out the Pollux. Really getting to all Pollux is probably actually more important than the Chaos in some senses, just to get that extra normal summon. We'll then move on to a heavier trap lineup than my previous build. We've got the single Bottomless, it's still good, it still gets rid of a lot of problem cards. We've got the Compulse, I'm already bouncing for days, why not do it some more? Then we've got 2 Fiendish Chains. These were in the side of my tournament report deck. I put them back in the main, because monster effects are just getting more and more important, so really choking down on them seems to be very important. 2 MSTs, 2 Mirror Force, to punish people that are overextending, and it just helps when people can put OTKs on the field, and for some reason they still want to attack into that 1 face down when they've got nothing else to kill it off. Single Warning, it's warning, it gets rid of a lot of things. It's still worth running at that 1. The 1 TT, very good card, especially if you've got an Omega out, just becomes Regigged, and still putting the Emptiness in the main, because still not drawing into them that much, so I haven't decided whether to keep them in the main or the side. Sides, a bit up in the air. I've not 100% confirmed it. A few things might change, but I'm not quite sure. T-King will definitely stay, even though it's a 1, it's still a very useful card. D-Fisher has gone back into my side. It's still a very strong card. I may consider taking out one of the other trap cards to put in a macro, because macro, yes, it does hurt my deck, but it hurts stuff like Mermail a hell of a lot more than it hurts my deck, and we've now got potentially 3 Mermail decks at my locals, and our locals is relatively small, so it's possible that I'll see them quite a lot. 2 Dust Tornadoes for Fire Fists at locals, extra spot destruction if need be against field spells, all the like. I don't want to play them 11 Catastrophe, there's nothing wrong with it, I just prefer the single spot destructions. Goes and Match, I still don't know whether to keep these in or not, because a lot of the decks at locals are single attribute decks. It's still kind of worth keeping them in for those rogue decks and for things like Dragon Plants to get rid of them. Imperial Iron Wall, these are a new addition that I want to put into. I may adjust some of the other ones because they can do similar things. A lot of the decks are removing cards from play, and it's very important, so I want to get these in. 2 Mind Crush, just to deal with people that search a lot and just pop them off. Mind Drain, similar to the Iron Wall, it's sort of a toss-up between these two to which ones I'll keep. Shadow Mirrors, just to deal with things like Black Wings. It hurts Evil Swarm a bit, I suppose, and just other random decks. And the single Soul Drain. Extra deck is relatively finalised. I'm pretty happy with how it's looking. It's not hugely different from the other one. We've got the 1 Abyss Dweller, just to stop the effects in the graveyard. We've got only the single Omega, so I don't really find that I go into more than one because I've got stuff like Lance, MST, so there's not a huge amount I need to protect. But if the opponent's got 3 or 4 back row, I will tend to go into Omega rather than Pallades, because obviously so one of those back row is going to be some form of summon negation or to get rid of the Pallades. 2 Pallades, obviously main boss monster of the deck, control that normal summon, just hurts so many decks, and just that general control. 1 Precept, just to bash over things, that's all it's good for. The 1 M7 is mainly used for when I've gone into a Pallades and I've used both materials and I want another bounce. Ouroboros, this I don't own at the moment, but I need to get hold of one. This is my replacement for Shockmaster. For some reason, this didn't even come into my mind to play this, because I probably thought it had to be 3 Darks. Initially, I was running just a Shark Drake as another target, because you still have those Sombre players where you can get 3 on the field quite easily. Whereas previously, what I was doing something like Sombre, grabbing a Pollux, get the extra normal summon from my hand, using a Pollux and a Chaos to go into a 5 and leaving the Sombre, because obviously Sombre is a once per turn effect, so I was using sort of it like a Wind-Up Magician, kind of. Next is Gagaga Cowboy. Nothing shall be said about Cowboy. Gaia Dragon, which is to twin with Volcanosaurus, because you can deal huge amounts of damage in a turn. It often can be around 5,000, and that can be just game-ending. Maestro, mainly defensive play, but it can still get rid of problem cards. Same with Utopia, really. It's just a really stall card. New addition in Shark Fortress. This is for just when you've perhaps gone through the Volcanosaurus play and you want to make that last push. Being able to get 4-8 on the board in 2 attacks is still very strong. Starlight Age Paladynamo, sort of a similar role as to Precept. Precept's not going to be able to get over everything, and having that ability to dump something down to 0 and negate its effect, and when it's destroyed by card effect, I believe.
By battle or card effect.
Okay, Sam was just talking there, you probably didn't hear. When it's right here, when it's controlled, so there's a possible draw out of it. I don't believe I've drawn from its effect. And then finally, Terrace. Terrace is still really good. Sometimes I'll open this instead of going into Pallades, just depending on if it's game 2 and I know what the matchup is, that sort of thing. That's really it for this deck profile, so thank you very much and goodbye.